Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
I'm Rich.
I'm Rob.
I'm Amy.
I'm Kez.
Captain
Grandpa Joe.
That's a Captain. Captain Grandpa Joe.
Get off my lawn.
As I'm eating my banana chips.
If
That
that's
dog.
not a Grandpa Joe thing to do, I don't know what is. They got their bag of mixed like fruit and dried fruit and stuff.
Delicious.
Uh, well, everybody, welcome back. So listeners, tonight we are jumping back into a few things that we experienced when we were on our trip abroad earlier this year. So today we are going to be talking about the Titanic. Brian joined us. Welcome, Brian.
Hey.
So I was just introducing, letting everybody know what we're talking about today. We're just jumping back into some things about our trip. So we're going to talk about the Titanic today, and Amy's going to take the lead here in just a few minutes. But I didn't know before we were planning this trip that the Titanic, because Amy said, I want to go see the Titanic Museum. I was like, what? There's a Titanic Museum when we're over there? And she's like, yes, it's in Northern Ireland. I think you said Belfast. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do it. So we stayed at our castle. Then for the weekend with the haunted castle, which we're going over evidence right now, we went out to the Cliffs of Moher, which was on the far west side of the coast of Ireland. Then we came back to Dublin. We hopped on a train with all of our luggage. That was interesting. And we rode a 2.5 hour train ride up the coast of Ireland into Northern Ireland and Belfast. So they're two separate countries for those of you that don't know. So when we got there, we went to Amy's going to talk about all the things that we did, and we were able to go to the Titanic Museum. So Amy's going to talk all things Titanic. But I just want to chat with the group for a minute. And I would like to give a shout out to Belfast Airport, because that is the best airport food I think I have ever had in my entire life. I don't know about you guys, but seriously, it was so good. I don't know what that dip was we had. Do you remember, Kez?
Yeah. I remember now. I mean, I remember the restaurant.
It had like, Amy, I don't know if you remember the dip we got. Was it like
Some sort of
artichoke?
cheese thing.
What was it?
No, I don't remember because I feel like that was the one where we were delayed, right?
Yes,
Yep.
for a long time.
We had like a food court in there, right? And we
Yes.
also had a big long table. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
that had actually pretty good food.
It was so good. There was like some kind of goat cheese artichoke dip type thing that we had. I think maybe it was just artichoke dip, and it had some kind of jam. And no, it was not.
No, it was goat cheese something or other.
Oh, it had like some kind of jam or something in the middle. And their Starbucks that was in the airport, they actually gave away little jars of honey, like with your if you wanted that instead of sugar. They had jars of honey. I was like, that is a whole next level of Starbucks. Oh, I like your
That was cool.
background, Rich.
Oh, thanks.
Very festive.
I'm trying to float, see?
For those of you listening, Rich changed his background to Titanic. If you like, you should join us on YouTube. Catch this on YouTube so you can see all of our smiling faces. We'll probably be sharing our screens. So just in general, what do you guys think of Northern? I wish we would have had more time in Belfast.
It was my favorite. I mean, as far as I could tell, because we were there for like 24 hours, but I still say that was my favorite. I would love to go back to Northern Ireland and really check out a bunch of those places. It was fun. I think that was like Rob and I went out after dinner. We had the best time, I think.
Yeah, you guys saw a lot of live music and people just it was like that authentic Irish experience.
We wandered aimlessly and found a bunch of cool shit. Really did.
The other thing about Belfast that I thought was really cool was the taxi pickup service. So like they have these buildings that you walk into and they're like either heated or air conditioned. They're temperature controlled, let's say. And you just pick up the phone on the wall and you order a taxi and it automatically knows like what location you're calling from because it's like each, got its own like number. So it's like safe. You got to wait inside the taxi stop, wait for your taxi. So I don't know. It was just very convenient. It was I don't know. It was a great city. I really loved it, and I wish we would have had more time. But their airport had really great trinkets, had great food, and everybody was super nice. So, I really wanted to go to Derry though. After watching Derry Girls on Netflix, I really wanted to go to Derry.
Such a good show.
I know. Anybody have anything they want to add about Belfast before Amy jumps in?
I wish I could have went to a hockey game. The Belfast Giants play right there, and we were right there.
We walked
Oh.
past
They
the
weren't-
stadium.
they
I took a picture. Big puck.
Yeah. They weren't there. They weren't. It's not like I could have went because they weren't there playing anyway. But I wish there would have been a hockey game that I could have went to. I guess is what I'm saying. That'd have been cool to check that out.
Are they actual giants?
They were bigger than me. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, funny thing is it is in Ireland that the Causeway Giants, like, we did an episode on that where we talked about, I think for Weird News with the Causeway Giants.
The other thing, we got off the train, which was kind of cool, taking the train from Dublin up there. I thought the train ride was really cool. Getting to see like some stuff you weren't going to see had you just been probably driving up to Belfast. You know what
And
I
it
mean?
was so cheap.
It was more scenic, and yeah, it was actually it was cool. The train ride was cool. We got there. Some guy recognized me right away at the airport. I mean, at the train station. I was coming out of the bathroom. He was going in, and he's like, "Seattle Kraken." I was like, "Yep, Seattle Kraken." He's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, cool." He said, "You only like the Kraken?" I said, "No." I said, "But whatever." He said, "Oh yeah, are you?" That's the same question I always get. Are you from Seattle? Nope.
Was it your shirt or were you wearing a hat? I can't
I had a
remember.
sweatshirt on, so that was kind of cool. And then
And
we
the
walked
pants. You had the
outside
pants.
and almost got ran over by a guy on a scooter who was doing about 60 miles an hour. I swear to God that those can't be regulated over there, because that dude was passing cars standing up on a scooter. That was I thought that was awesome. And then we ran into I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, then we got taxis and all that stuff, and like you said, it was kind of different. We had to kind of feel that out a little bit when we got there, because we weren't quite sure exactly how that worked. But once we figured out what it was actually pretty cool. And really, we weren't too far. It didn't feel like, from the hotel and the museum, actually from the train station. It was just kind of like zigzagging through town. It felt like it didn't feel like we were very far from there, so it wasn't really a long trip. But yeah, it was fun. I like going out to eat. I wish it would have been open a little longer, and they would have live music and all that stuff. You guys walked down the street to another place, and that looked like that was really fun. But yeah, it was cool.
Now I'm gonna just pass it over to Amy, and Amy's gonna take over.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that I don't know. I've been a little weirdly obsessed in my life about with the Titanic. I'm not really sure what that is. I believe Kez, you also said you were a little obsessed. So there was just no way I could go without seeing where the Titanic was built, and so that's like a bucket list thing for me to do. It was so cool to just stand there and just imagine it was right there where I was standing. It was the coolest. So I just want to throw that out there. So I'm going to go into some facts here. So the Titanic was built at the Hartland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Work began in 1909 and was completed by 1912. At the time, Titanic was the largest man-made moving object in the world. Over 15,000 workers were involved in its construction. It required 3 million rivets and about 46,000 tons of steel. The project itself brought significant employment and economic growth to the city, cemented Belfast's status as a major shipbuilding hub. So then, we all know what happened with the Titanic, but I'm going to go into like a brief description of obviously, the sinking of the Titanic. So the Titanic, often remembered as the most famous shipwreck in history, was a British passenger liner that tragically sank on its maiden voyage on April 1912. Built by the White Star Line, it was considered a marvel of modern engineering at the time and was famously described as unsinkable. With its luxurious accommodations and advanced safety features, the Titanic was seen as a model of human achievement in shipbuilding. So on April 10th, 1912, the Titanic departed from Southampton, England, heading towards New York. On board were 2,200 passengers and crew, including some of the wealthiest people in the world, as well as many immigrants seeking a new life in America. Just 4 days into the voyage, the ship struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. Despite its impressive design, the Titanic lacked enough lifeboats for all passengers, a flaw that contributed to the high death toll. The Titanic sank in 2 hours and 40 minutes after hitting the iceberg. The ship struck the iceberg at 11:40 p.m. and then sank at 2:20 a.m. Resulting in deaths of more than 1,500 people. The disaster shocked the world and led to major changes in maritime laws, including stricter safety regulations and the establishment of the International Ice Patrol and monitor iceberg threats. The story of the Titanic remains a powerful reminder of human vulnerability and the dangers of overconfidence. It has inspired countless books, films, and studies, keeping its legacy alive more than a century later. The tragedy of the Titanic is not only a story of loss, but it's also a lesson in humility and the importance of safety over pride. So then I did want to talk a little bit about the museum. And that was super cool. We could actually see the museum out of our window from our hotel. And from the window, we could see lit up in blue lights in the ground, and the cement was actually where the Titanic sat. So that was super cool to be able to see that. So the museum, the building's striking design features, also, I wish I would have known this before we went. The building striking design features 4 angular hulls that mirrored the height of the Titanic's bow, symbolizing the ship's grandeur. Clad in 3,000 silver anodized aluminum shards, the exterior reflects the industrial legacy of Belfast shipping era. The museum houses 9 interactive galleries that chronicle Titanic's journey from her conception and construction in Belfast to her ill-fated maiden voyage and enduring legacy. Visitors can experience the shipbuilding process through a ride that simulates the construction environment of the early 20th century. A centerpiece of the museum is a replica of the Titanic's iconic grand staircase. And I think anybody who watched the movie, obviously, we've all seen that staircase, right? Mm-hmm. It's really cool just to see it in their video, like you're going up this elevator and you can see all the different floors, and then that was pretty cool. So it was crafted from nearly 10,000 parts. In the museum, Esther Hart's letter is on display. It's the last letter written aboard the Titanic, penned by the survivor Esther Hart, which fetched a record of 19,000 pounds, I think it's pounds, at auction. What is that? Pounds? Euros? Euros?
Pounds. Euros is a E.
Okay.
Like an E.
Makes sense. Okay. The museum spans over 12,000 square meters, which is approximately 1,300 square feet, and can accommodate up to 3,547 visitors at once, the same number as Titanic's passenger capacity. In 2016, Titanic Belfast was named the world's leading tourist attraction at the World's Travel Awards. Situated in the revitalized Titanic Quarter, the museum is adjacent to historic sites like the Harlan and Wolff drawing offices and Hamilton graving dock. Visitors can also explore the SS Nomadic, the last remaining White Star Line vessel, which served as a tender to Titanic, which it was on display like right around the corner from the museum. Did anybody see it?
I went on it.
Did you?
Yep.
I think Rob and I walked past it, but I don't think.
Pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Dang it.
It was neat in there, and it was to describe it, I guess it's basically all exhibits in there. You start in one area. I think it was 2 levels you could go. They wouldn't let you go up to the top where the bridge was, but I think there was 2 levels, and each section was broken down in different things about the Titanic and about the Nomadic. And there was another ship they also built that was a tender ship as well. It was a lot of history on that stuff. But then they had a lot of old clothes and life jackets, and they had a bunch of stuff like that in there. But it was neat. I'm glad that I saved enough time to run over there real quick to at least go through it, because we were on such a time crunch.
I'm kind of mad at myself for reading so much.
Well, I guess we'll have to go back.
I guess we'll have to go back.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Okay. That's also one of the things I wish I would have known before we went there. Like there just isn't enough time, I guess,
I would agree with that.
Yep. So, of course, with any disaster, there's a lot of kind of spooky links to the Titanic and the museum. So, employees and visitors at the Titanic Museum attractions have reported ghostly experiences. These include seeing ghostly figures dressed in the 20th century clothing, hearing unexplained voices or footsteps, exhibits like the replica grand staircase or cabins being disturbed with no explanation. Some claim the spirits of Titanic victims are attached to personal artifacts on display. Captain Edward Smith, who went down with the ship, is said to haunt various locations. His former home in England is reportedly haunted with strange noises, cold spots, and ghostly sightings. Some even claim to have seen his apparition in shipyards or old naval vessels, especially around the anniversary of the sinking. There are stories of Titanic passengers having ominous dreams before boarding. Some canceled their trips because of these feelings, which is cool to know. After the disaster, several items salvaged from the Titanic are rumored to be cursed. One famous example is the cursed mummy myth, an Egyptian artifact supposedly brought aboard, though this has been debunked. It was said to bring doom to the ship. The RMS Carpathia, which rescued Titanic survivors, later had crew members claim they heard disembodied cries and whispers at sea. Some believed spirits from the Titanic had latched onto the ship during the rescue. Ghost hunters and mediums have claimed the wreck site itself is spiritually alive. Some psychics say they've contacted passengers who are still lost or unaware that they died, lingering on the ship spiritually. At the traveling Titanic exhibitions, which I'm not sure if anybody's done that. Rob and I went to the one in, where was that? Science and Industry in Chicago, maybe?
Could have been.
Okay, so at traveling Titanic exhibitions, staff have reported display items moving on their own, lights flickering, unseen hands brushing against them. Many of these tales are attributed to energy left behind by tragedy and personal attachments to objects. And that's what I got. So anybody?
I touched part of the hull at that museum.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think it was
it
was a replica, though, wasn't it?
I don't know. I thought they.
Oh no, it was a chunk. That's right.
Yes.
You're right. It was like a little square. Yeah, that was cool.
I did not know that people had ominous dreams prior to. That was really interesting that happened. And then you're right. Like, it was so incredible to be looking out that window onto the shipyard where it was being built, and you see like the outline of the boat on the cement. And I think that we should. I mean, how cool would it be? How cool would it be if we could talk them into letting us investigate the Titanic Museum?
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Gosh, that would be amazing. See,
Yeah.
I don't know. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So
right,
just plugging away, trying to get networking. Yes. The other thing that I found interesting at the museum was they had in the glass enclosures, like example of what the first class, second class, and third class rooms looked like. And I'll post some pictures on our Facebook page with this. But if you can imagine, like, I mean, the third class like rooms were so tiny.
Yeah.
It was like slept two
Very small.
people. The beds were I don't even know how anybody fit on the beds. And they had like a little sink, and then I can't remember how many hundreds of people. I took pictures of all this stuff, so I'll make sure that I post this.
Yep.
But I think there was like 200 and some people in third class, and they all had to share the same bathroom. There was like one bathroom for everybody to share in third class. So that was really interesting to me. And then the first classroom, like how huge it was, and I mean, it was, like a studio apartment virtually.
Mhm.
It was so big. But the most the I was kind of, emotional or whatever walking through there, but it really hit me when we got to the wall that had all of the names of the people that died on the Titanic. Like, that was so profound. And even at that, I was emotional, but what ended up actually causing me so many tears was when it showed how many dogs died on the ship. Because there was, I think, like a dozen or so animals. I mean, it's sad that human life was lost. Kez is laughing at me right now, but I mean, as soon as I saw the whole thing about the animals, I was like, oh my God. They were brought on there against their will, so I don't know. It was
So
sad
were
to
the
me.
children.
Yeah, that's terrible too. That's terrible too.
Just saying.
Okay, okay, fine. I'm sitting here worried
No,
about
I get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah. I mean, it's always. I'm the type of person I watch a movie and like a horror movie, and it's like, oh well, there goes another person. But as soon as they involve a dog or any sort of animal, I'm like, I'm not watching this anymore. Like, I'm over it.
Strollers. Is that a puppy in there? Oh, it's just a baby.
Just a pig.
Um,
Amy,
I
I have.
thought.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that you're talking about all the names on the wall, and then you go downstairs, and then they had that last bit where it's all the radio communications, the last radio communications between Titanic and other surrounding ships, and that was pretty wild to read. The desperation once they hit the iceberg was crazy, and then the other ship saying like we're on our way, we're this far away, obviously chugging along as fast as they can, but they can only go so fast, especially when they got into the iceberg area as well. But what I didn't realize was where the ships that went through that area prior to the Titanic were sending warnings well in advance to the Titanic, like, hey, super not great over here. Maybe just like go slow, avoid it, that kind of thing. And then at one point there was a correspondence from the Titanic to whatever ship that was kind of warning them, and it was just like, get off my like basically get off my radio wave, I'm busy. So I mean and then after that it was like all the preventable things, everything that could have been done differently to have prevent that tragedy was just very. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Most of what our regulations now came from the Titanic.
Yeah, and lots of human error. Like
Ride in there, which I didn't know. We got up around the corner and it says ride the ride. I'm like, holy shit, can roller coaster in here or something. I'm like, all right. It was cool. That was a really cool experience. It was really neat. And they show you how they built the Titanic, and it's kind of like a thing through like the shipyard. And what I was saying was, at the very end of it, or towards the end of it, they have a video playing on a screen or whatever, depicting how they put the rivets on there. Where there was one guy on the inside, one on the outside, and they had two hammers, and that was eye opening for me. I'm thinking, man, I can't even imagine, first of all, doing the job, and second of all, that's how they did it. We take for granted the things we have today. Back then, how they did it was crazy.
Yeah, that was one of the things I took away from that too as well, just being in maintenance and industrial like that my whole life, not shipbuilding, but yeah, they lost their hearing or went completely deaf from being in those small confined areas, pounding on those rivets on each side. Never even dawned on me until I was there that yeah, they didn't have a riveter of any kind. So they had to put that hot piece of metal in there and then beat the shit out of it in small area with the echo and how loud that must have been. I don't know. Things we do for money, right? $20, $20.
I reckon.
Yeah, and I think
Well,
Amy said that there's what 3 million of them that they had to do. Like, holy cow!
Yeah, there were 3 million of them. You don't think about like how many people probably got injured in the making of the ship, or how many maybe died of them on the from the making of the ship. Like nobody really talked about that too much. But it was interesting to me, that whole like how many people lost their hearing was crazy.
so Brian, you really missed out a treat on the Titanic Museum. It was really, I mean, it was so amazing to go there, and just Belfast in general. You were missed on this trip for sure.
Yeah, the
Uh-huh.
Titanic stuff would have been up my alley. I got into Titanic pretty hardcore when the movie came out. We saw it like 8 times at the movie theater, and it was very much in the ether. Everybody was getting into Titanic, and it was a boom of going back and being able to learn a lot about it, which is really cool because it's a fascinating story for a lot of reasons. Um, but you start looking into a lot of things, and with the rivets, I think one of the going theories of what the main problem was when they hit the iceberg is that the section of the ship that they hit the iceberg on, there was a different type of rivet that was used. The normal rivets that they were using were like solid iron or something, but the ones that they had to use in that one section had slag in it, which is kind of all the crap that comes off when you're making iron. So they weren't as strong, and for some reason there was a section that they had to use this different type of rivet. So one of the supposed theories that was the biggest problem is that that section was inherently a little bit weaker when they kind of ticked along that iceberg, and they were popping all the rivets and punching holes. So it's not like there was a gash in the side of the ship. Almost until the movie came out, there was just a general perception, I think, that it just hit an iceberg and there was a big hole and it sank. And we know now that there's so much more to it, that it broke into two pieces. There was a long time that people didn't believe that it broke in two pieces, even though there was eyewitness accounts that people had saying that that's what happened. They were told no, that couldn't have happened, but we know now that yeah, that actually happened. It's just it's such a course in Murphy's law that everything that could have gone wrong for them went wrong for them. And at that time, with as much fanfare as that ship had, it just, that's why it's such a legend, because one, it was deemed unsinkable. White Star Line, this was their crowning achievement. Uh, the maiden voyage, all the pomp and circumstance. If anything was going to go wrong with that, it was going to be a big story, let alone the whole thing sinking and, all these people who perish because of it. And then when you start getting into the reasons why, it seems like it was chaos that night, and any procedure that probably should have been in place wasn't there, and the people that should have been responsible for the well-being of the ship were, for one reason or another, we'll never really know what Mr. Ismay, what his deal was he really trying to get there as quickly as possible? Was the captain really kind of at the end of his run and maybe he had seen better days? uh, was Titanic really switched with Olympic before they sent it out to get an insurance claim?
Mhm.
No.
We're
No.
going down the rabbit hole of
No.
I
conspiracy.
tried
No,
to
we already
ask that
talked about
question
that.
when I was
Yeah.
there, and I got shushed. So
Yeah. Uh-oh.
they don't want to talk about it there.
Uh-oh. What, are they afraid? Apparently they didn't watch the documentary.
Well,
You
Now,
know.
I must add, when we went there, I wore my Titanic shirt that says this, what it was, it say on the back, staff or what, crew. It says crew on the back. So I'm wearing that through there. You know, almost everybody that worked there made a comment about my shirt. Nice shirt. I said thanks. So
You know,
had
but
to wear
yeah,
a Titanic shirt.
we won't go down the Olympic Titanic rabbit hole. I'm pretty sure we already did that on this podcast. I'm pretty sure we already went through there and kind of shot that down. And to be fair to us, the naysayer who was debating us on this topic came around pretty quickly once we gave picture evidence that that's not true. So yeah, there's a lot going on with the Titanic. I changed my background to the biggest villain in movie history. Since I'm the movie.
Is it because of the door?
No, Rose. Okay, since I'm the movie person, I'll break it down for everybody real quick. Next time you watch Titanic,
here we go.
Look at it through. Wicked is very big right now. Everybody. I mean, it's been big on Broadway, but the movie came out, and we see the Wicked Witch's point of view. So sometimes it's fun to go back, and we just did this with Back to the Future, and we had a whole nother story that can be made from Biff's point of view, and it's a totally different story. If you look at it just through a different perspective, it changes the whole thing. But Rose in Titanic, she's a villain right from the beginning. If you're Billy Zane's character, and this is your fiancé, you've been together for a while now, you're going on the Titanic, you find her canoodling with some shiprat who shouldn't even be on there. And by the way that he acts when he confronts Rose about this is not the first time that Rose has done this crap. Like, this is something that Rose is a bit. So if you look at it through Billy Zane's eyes, his fiancée is running around with another man who she doesn't even know. She just met him. So that's number one. Then she does hook up with this guy, and he's the bad guy now. Rose loses Jack Dawson. Oh, he's the love of her life. Jack is the greatest ever. Again, she's known him for 3 days. Jack is the greatest.
When you know.
She gets to the States, abandons Billy Zane, and she's supposed to be a hero because she's turning down a life of wealth and leisure. So she's supposed to be a hero. So what does she do? She lives all these things that her and Jack talked about over 72 hours about how she's going to ride a horse, and she's going to go out to the prairie, and she's going to work at a carnival, and yada yada. Then she presumably marries somebody else, has children because she has a granddaughter. A granddaughter who, by all everything they showed us in the movie, is doing the best that she can do to care for her elderly grandmother. She seems to be living at her granddaughter's house. The granddaughter seems to not be doing like the greatest. She's not setting the world on fire. Then what happens? We get to the end of the movie. The whole crux of the movie is they want to find this heart of the ocean, this very expensive necklace that Rose had on that ship. And what do we learn? That the old broad has had the necklace the whole time, while her granddaughter and presumably her family have struggled their entire lives. And what does she do? She doesn't turn around and say, "Oh, granddaughter, oh, you've been so great." Oh, it tosses it to her. No, she turns around and throws it into the ocean, and we're supposed to think she's some sort of hero. Then she gets to whatever her heaven is, and who does she see? Jack Dawson, the dude she knew for 3 days, not her husband, who she had children with, not that person who I'm assuming thought that they had found the love of their life and they shared all these things. What did she do? Proving even ran right away from the person who she had vows with and goes right back to Jack. Villain. Prove me wrong, everybody. Tell me I'm wrong. Amy knows it. Amy's agreeing. Amy's like, Rose is terrible. Wow, come on, buddy.
I can't.
So I agree.
The classic movie, you just shredded it.
I like the movie. I just like watching it from a different point of view now. Rose is terrible. She is terrible. And the door. The door was the least of the problems of her being on the door like, oh, Jack, only one of us could fit. Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah. Oh, only one of them. I wonder who that was going to be.
Who put a quarter in this guy? I want to know. Who put the quarter in this guy?
Terrible.
Thank you for the unexpected movie review of Titanic.
Not a movie review. That is not a movie review.
Or like
That
a
is a take
was a
on why
rant.
that was
Rose is a
a rant. That was a shredding, as Amy put it.
How
But
about let go of the Titanic movie? Check out the Titanic documentary they just came out with. It's 2025. It's Titanic. What is it? Digital remastering. Very, very, very cool documentary that I just watched. And it talks about how you were talking earlier, Brian, where it was only a few puncture holes throughout the side of the ship that really sunk it. It was 4 compartments that could have completely flooded and it would have stayed afloat. That's why it was unsinkable. However, 6 compartments flooded, and the 2 that basically, so the 4 in the middle, front ish, for sure those are going to flood no matter what. But that very front one and that very last one had like a paper size hole in it, and that's what sunk the ship. Is that teensy tiny little bit that filled up those extra compartments and sunk the ship, which I found was pretty amazing. And they even did this simulation where basically if the Titanic would have just taken on the iceberg head on, which nobody would have done that, right? You're going to try to veer away. But if they would have just taken that iceberg on head on, it very likely only would have crushed the first 4 compartments, and that thing would have stayed afloat. It would have still had casualties, obviously injuries, problems. It wouldn't be able to go forward anymore, but it would have stayed afloat if they would have actually taken that iceberg head on, according to all their scientific and mathematical calculations, which I thought was wild.
well, that's pretty cool. And you watched that without me, by the way. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. But I do want to say I want to give Rob the opportunity, because you guys are talking as if you know how the Titanic really sank, but Rob actually does know. You want to tell us, Rob?
Yeah, so there's so much conspiracy around it. Like, did it break in half? And evidence about where the rivet's bad, but we know the real reason.
So what's the real reason? Verbalize it for
It's
me.
There it
coming.
is.
Hang on. It's just lagging a minute. There we go. And
Tell me what you're seeing, Rob.
You guys can't see it?
yeah, but
No,
you
but
got to
the people on
describe
the
it for the
podcast
listeners.
can.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Not everybody is. So we do know that the real reason was the king of the monsters. Godzilla was crossing through that area of the water. It was not an iceberg. I also have seen several dioramas to explain how this happened, and this is what should have been captured in the Titanic movie. It would have been more realistic.
It was actually them hitting what are those called? What on his back?
Spines.
His spines. The hitting his like sharp spiny projections out of his back, and that took the Titanic down. So you guys can just take your science and shove it somewhere
Yeah,
else.
right. You know, your facts and BS.
This movie has to be made. So
Right?
someone has to do that movie. Oh, that would be so exciting.
I know. I think that maybe we should pitch the idea to somebody and trademark it.
I don't know. We've alienated everybody so far. I'm not sure we have anybody left to make movies.
Right?
I know, right?
Who?
You guys have really
Who's been
offended.
alienated?
Oh God, I don't
fucking
even want to. I don't even
Spielberg,
want
I
to get the
think.
list started with
No,
you,
we
Brian.
didn't do anything to Spielberg, did we? Spielberg's cool.
We didn't do
No,
him.
just Stephen King.
George Lucas.
No, Lucas is fine. It's my guy. I got my.
I thought we.
Look at that. Look at that.
It was really just.
Got a TIE fighter. I got the Millennium Falcon up here.
Yeah,
George
so who?
Lucas is my guy.
It was really just
King.
Stephen King that he.
Oh, Stephen King. That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah, he makes shitty movies anyway.
He's a freaking hack, anyways.
I love Stephen King. To shame. But no, you're entitled to your opinion. I value your opinions, but I like Steve. I have a question for Amy and Kez. So, and Kez, I want you to explain your experience yourself, I guess, but do you feel that there's a particular reason, because I know Kez does, that you feel so connected to the Titanic? Kez, I'll have you kind of go first and explain your connection, and then we'll have Amy go because I'd be curious to know if it's the same kind of thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who thinks that reincarnation is possible, and I don't know if I've ever watched the Titanic movie all the way through. Um, I have had an interest in it, but it's not like I've ever done a lot of deep diving. And the reason why I preface with that is that I've always had this like very emotional, visceral connection to the Titanic or ships or anything like that, where like I'll feel like I want to burst into tears. And this is not being like completely invested in the story, in a movie, things like that. It was just kind of it was very weird. Like the first few like real exposures that I had to um, Titanic stuff, it was very very emotional, and so I always feel like I probably reincarnated. I sunk with the ship, and I want to think that I was in the band playing until they were down.
Amy, what about you? And I had to say, because we went to the Queen Mary in California, and Kez was very emotional on that ship as well. It's like anything that has to do with like because we went down in the hull and everything, and Kez was just super emotional. So I'd be curious if yours is kind of the same way, Amy.
You know what? I don't get that emotional about it, but I have always felt that if I ever found out some way that I might have had a relative on the boat or a, reincarnation, like there's not really a way to prove that, but I always felt some weird connection to it. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's just my little kid brain, because my mom had read a book, or it just seemed like at a very young age, I kind of was really into the Titanic. I don't know why. And I mean, it was way before the movie. So I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. It would not shock me at all because I think it's weird how just a little kid could take to something like that. It's kind of a weird, dark thing for a little kid to love, but I did.
That's kind of like you and Rob were meant to be then because it's kind of like when Rob was little and the things that he was connected to. And what was the story? You drew a picture in school and it had something on it that was kind of crazy. What was it?
I was going to a Catholic school, and I might have been first or second grade, and we had to draw a picture. I don't even remember. It had to be something religious, but I don't remember what the assignment necessarily was. But they said my picture would have won an award. But well, first off, it was last rites, so it was a car that crashed into a truck, and the thing was, I wrote the name of a company on the side of the truck, so I was disqualified.
The fact that you like did the
Like last
last
rites,
rites.
and there was a priest, and there was a guy on a gurney, and a car jammed underneath the trailer. Yeah, I drew that like first or second grade.
Yeah, you two were definitely meant to be meant to be. I swear to God. um, so I wanted to quick plug the Titanic hotel, the Titanic Museum Hotel that's right there.
Nice. It was nice.
So beautiful. It was really cool because when you go down into the hallways to like go to your rooms, it's like you're walking down the hallway of a ship. It's like you're on the ship. Everything's very dim. It's like decorated, like you're on a cruise ship for lack of better words. And they have slippers that you get to take home. They have robes that you don't get to take home, but they have beautiful plush robes in the room. Like it was decorated so beautiful. There was just history about the Titanic all over the hotel. Um, I don't know if that was probably one of the more unique. I've stayed in some nice hotels, but I just think that it was the total package. The staff there was great. And it literally stone's throw away. I mean, we were right on the grounds of where the Titanic was built, um, staying in that hotel. And I think the other interesting thing, the last thing I wanted to bring up was how interesting I did not, realizing that the Titanic was built there, which I did not know. and that's where it first set sail. So its first passengers actually started in Belfast, and then it sailed around the eastern coast of Ireland, and then went over to the UK, to England, and people got on there. So there were several different stops that it had taken before its maiden voyage to head across the United States. So the actual trip of the Titanic didn't, start right there in England. It had already been sailing for I don't know how many days at that point, which I thought was really interesting. So there were some people that were on the boat for a pretty significant amount of time.
And what's cool about what you just said there too is how many people got off. It would so at the museum it would tell you how many people got on at this place and how many people got off. And some of them had like more elaborate stories, like this person was supposed to be on, but they got off here for this reason, and this person, really wanted to go as well, but his employer said get the heck off that
Yep.
ship, get back to work, kind of thing. So just to see how many, it'll say all these people got on and these are the people that got off. And at that last stop, seeing basically the last people who, for whatever reason, had to get off or chose to get off, and I can imagine the Survivors Guild too.
You should dress here.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, just to think how getting off there, and then how lucky it is for you to, like, to find out that the ship sank and that you got off the boat when you were meant to be on there. Oh, Amy and Rob are together now. They had to join forces on the computer.
No, you got this is.
Look, I'm invisible.
You just stay there like that.
I have this still. I don't know.
You can
if we-
take off your background. But does anybody else have
No,
any?
you don't want to see this because Amy, we got a time capsule when
Oh
we were
yeah,
at the
so you got to take your
museum.
background off for that.
Okay, oh my goodness, can I just blur it? Or is it?
Yeah, you can blur it, but I just don't know if it'll show the time. Yeah, you'll have to take off your background for us to see it. Okay, yeah, no,
No.
can you unblur it?
Oh boy, it's a mess in here because I'm in the man cave.
That's okay.
Maybe you can't really look at. That's from when my kid was young. It's a
my
what do you
Angry
call-
Birds.
Angry Birds.
See Perry
So-
the Platypus on
Wait,
it.
so you guys bought a time capsule?
Yeah.
Amy's gonna open it right here.
I
What?
For
didn't
the
know that
first
you
time
bought a time
ever.
capsule.
What?
They were selling them in the shop.
What?
Listen to that. Never been opened.
Smells like the sea.
Oh.
Okay, wait, so explain this before you open it. What is it exactly?
Okay, so it's this envelope. It says time capsule. It says White Star Line, Royal Steamers, United States, first sailing, latest addition to the White Star Fleet, Queen of the Ocean, Titanic, and it time capsule. Hold history in your hands and connect to the ship of dreams. Experience the story of the Titanic told through a presentation folder of authentic archived photographs, letters,
Ooh.
newspaper articles, and official documents, all accompanied by a fascinating 20-page booklet.
Wait, how much was that?
20
Does that
bucks,
include
I
a
think.
necklace?
I think it was like 20. Okay, it does. You get a random necklace. Is it worth
Sure, yeah.
something? I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh, another envelope. I'm going to show you this now.
Ooh.
So this is inside the envelope.
Oh.
and
What
then
if
this
she
is
gets
the
like some
back.
kind of document that says she was on the boat?
Oh my
That would
god.
be
I'll get another
amazing.
envelope.
Okay.
That would be so cool.
Ooh. Okay, so then you pop it open.
Let's see if there's any names in there. See if it says Amy.
Ooh, that looks so fancy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I like
look.
the slow unveil.
Ooh, this is
$20.
creepy.
What's that? Oh wait, bring it into the.
Wait, I'm trying to figure.
Ooh, St. Paul's Cathedral Memorial Service. What's its What's it
So
say on the
this
front
is
page?
like a photocopy, or obviously several printed off, but of the one of the hymns for the
Does it get safe?
those who perished through the foundering of the SS Titanic. So this is like
Oh, the people that died while building it.
no, I think this is the people, those who perished through I don't know, maybe because this is April 15th.
Oh,
Transcription of Register of Transmission to the Register General of Shipping and Seamen. Smells funny.
Hey, there's a family.
Smells funny.
Oh, it's the memorial service. Sorry, it was on the 19th of April.
Gotcha.
So it's for after. Okay, and then what do you got there,
Here's a letter from Eva.
Eva?
Eva.
Is that the one that I talked about? Looks like it's a little kid wrote it, but
Ooh.
that's cool. So hold that up. It's kind of neat. Old fashioned handwriting.
Oh,
Cursive.
Cursive.
Looks like my mom's.
oh,
Wow.
And then I
That's a
got
lot of X's.
That's a lot.
this picture, which is actually shiny,
Ooh.
but that's kind of neat.
Are those the rescue boats?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So there's actual
Get the
footage
glare
of
off.
people being rescued. Oh my God.
I think you can see a Godzilla spine in the background in this picture.
Probably.
And here is a letter that says, "We have now received particulars from Halifax as to the bodies recovered from the Titanic. Of your husband has been identified and buried at sea. The condition of his body, unfortunately, not permitting its removal to Halifax for burial. The following effects were found, and we are arranging for such to be brought from America and handed over to the Board of Trade, Southampton, to whom it will be necessary to apply if you wish to claim same anywhere after June 3rd.
It says
my
dear sir
God.
or madam, but they crossed off sir.
Because there
So,
must have been so many, they probably
Wow.
oh my gosh, I was like, yeah, that's pretty impersonal.
And
that you
there's
gotta
even
find
like
out.
there was a
That's good and
typo.
morbid.
They fixed it. Like they wrote your in hand, but the little goes in
you
here.
gotta hold these up. 'cause
Carrot.
Wow.
Oh
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
the front page,
Times.
New
the
York
news.
Times. There's the captain.
that is so cool. I wish I would
And
have
here's the
seen one of those.
Daily Mirror on the other side. Has a little bit more information.
Some of the other people on there. Yeah.
Amy, do you remember when the movie came out? I know our newspaper up here did like one that week came up. They did like a whole rerun of the newspaper from the actual days following the Titanic wreck. And I had them all and I like laminated them and stuff. And I think they're gone to time now. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That is
Yeah.
cool. I wish I would have
wish I
known
would
that.
have kept
Oh,
that
this.
stuff.
Okay, so this is just like an SOS saying we have struck an iceberg and we are sinking. Ooh,
Oh my gosh. That is so
Another
cool for
glossy
20
photo
bucks.
of the
Yeah.
building of the ship. I believe it was 20.
wow, there's so
I don't-
much stuff in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit in there.
Here's a postcard from White Star Line. Sorry,
Oh
I
my
can't tell where
gosh.
I'm going with that.
Was that a
This
postcard
is
like
Thomas Mudd, is what it looks
Oh.
like. MUDD.
have to look up some of these names. The letter from Eva, was that something that she was writing to somebody like to and like what did they do? How did they mail stuff from the like I guess at the different ports that they stopped off?
Yeah,
Pigeons.
probably.
That's
I
where
don't know.
That's where that tender ship, that nomadic, was being.
It says, my
they used
dear
her for that,
ones all, is who the letter's to. It was written Sunday afternoon. And it gives you the place to write the date. It just says 19 and then a 1. So you could put the year, but she didn't put the year.
This
Oh,
is
look at
cool.
that.
Another shiny picture.
Oh
That
my
is cool.
gosh.
Rob,
I'll have to send you
Another one.
pictures and then maybe you can post it for our
Yeah, I would love to if you would guys
Ooh.
would take pictures of that stuff and send it
That's
put it up
cool.
there. Cause this just reminds me, the person that you mentioned whose employer wanted them to get off the ship, that was wasn't that person? Oh, that's cool. Look, that's
That
the
is the
mapping.
voyage, and where
wow.
there's the X's of some, I'm guessing probably where it must have struck.
yeah.
Cause was that a photographer that was on the ship?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a photographer that was on there. There was, I think he was a photographer, and he went from the beginning till right before they were about to cross the Atlantic, and he met a wealthy couple who had offered to pay his way to America so that he could continue to go on the ship,
Your letters.
and
I think that's Ada.
and so yeah, but his employer was just like, get off that ship and come back to work.
Dang.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because that's what I was trying to remember. And I think I accidentally muted you, Rob and Amy, on accident. I was trying to I was trying to pin your screen. There we go. Yeah, so if you guys could take pictures of that and send that over so we can put it up, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Rob, what was the
Cool.
name of the person on that postcard that you sent?
One was Eva. This here is another letter that I don't know. It's like not a good photo of it.
One of them was the last name Mud.
Mud.
Yeah, what was the first name?
Mudd.
Yeah,
And
what
it
was the first
says
name?
Mrs. Thomas Mudd.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see because I was curious if they were related to Samuel Mudd. Your name is as good as mud. That mud,
Oh,
the
wow,
phrase.
that's cool.
That's cool. But no, that doesn't. I thought you said Alexander, but you did not. I thought maybe there was a weird connection there.
Well, you guys got a jackpot and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, there's
They got like
there he is.
There he
Godzilla.
is.
Oh, there he is.
There's
Godzilla did it.
Godzilla.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was
Well,
cool.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's neat.
does anybody else have anything they want to chime in about Titanic or our trip to Northern Ireland or anything at all? Yes, Brian.
Um, Talking about the movie, I go on a rant about Rose, and it's good for it. It's fun. I half mean it. Um, but really, if you haven't seen Titanic and you're curious about the Titanic, it is a good movie to watch.
Yes.
If you're just curious about what it would have been like to be on the Titanic, the whole idea of that movie was to tell the story of Titanic, but that's not interesting. So Jimmy Cameron had to create Rose and Jack because there are eyes and ears of what's
Right.
happening on that ship, and they take us everywhere, and we meet all the important people through them, and you get a good idea of what it must have been like while it was going down and it was sinking. So, for as much as I have a little bit of fun about the character Rose, if you guys haven't seen Titanic and you're curious about Titanic, it is a good one to watch. It does put you there and gives you a good feeling of what it was probably like.
I actually just donated a DVD of the Titanic yesterday.
And just to be
I guess
fair,
Gina hates it. She's done with
this
it.
No,
is
I
Gor-
just don't want to watch DVDs.
just to be fair, this is Gorgo. I didn't have a Godzilla within reach, even though there's about 1,500 of them in this room.
You got Gadzuki?
I do not have a Godzuki. It's
Oh,
on my list, but it's not in the priorities.
oh,
I
he's such a
think
cute little
I
guy.
think we need a tour of your man cave at some point. That'll be a whole other episode.
It will be because we could.
That'll be our weird news. Man cave has all the children's toys that you can imagine.
And a lot of guitars.
Oh yeah, that makes you sound cooler.
Yeah.
Amy, thank you so much for giving us all the history
You for letting me
tonight.
do it.
And hold on one second, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. Thank you for letting me do it.
It's not about letting we're a team, and so it was the first time you're leading the episode tonight. It was great. You did a great job. Really appreciate it. I love how many voices we've brought on the podcast and just sharing everything. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hearing your take on it. I learned some things that I didn't know before, so I'm sure everybody else did that's listening. So with that, if you're ever over on that side of the world, make time to go do these things because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity to do that. So if you have any place you want us to go check out, anything you want us to review or take a look at, got weird news, weird stories, hauntings, anything you want us to check out, you can reach out to us at connectedrealm@gmail.com. That's connectedrealm@gmail.com. Our next episode, we're going to kind of fill in the blanks about a few other places that we visited while we were over there and some of the history behind them and possible paranormal haunting type history. We'll cinch that up in the next episode. And then our final episode will be a part 2 of Ross Castle. We have feverishly been going through evidence, and we are going to try to have as much done as we can by the time we record that in a couple weeks. And we will have an evidence reel put together because we have really collected some pretty impressive and unexplainable audio evidence that we are really excited to bring to you guys. Right now, we're kind of in the stages where we're finishing things up and bouncing things off of each other and trying to debunk things if we can. And so far, we have quite a few things that we have not been able to debunk. So that's pretty exciting. So we can't wait to bring that to you. So thanks for sticking with us on this episode. So until next time, peace. Ciao,
So,
everybody.
Big balls.
Stay
It's always
cheeky.
with bye. No, I just want to hear you say sticky hot pudding roll.
Sticky
One time.
hot pudding.
Thank you.
Toffee
No,
pudding.
it's
Sticky
hot
toffee pudding.
He
sticky
was
pudding.
saying, Gina was saying sticky hot pudding. It's sticky toffee pudding.
It's hot. Isn't there hot in there?
No, it's
What
sticky
is
toffee
happening?
pudding.
You guys have ruined
That
it.
is exactly what it was called.
you guys gotta
You
stop
kids
saying
kept
hot
saying
sticky
sticky hot pudding.
That's something completely different.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Oh, sticky toffee pudding.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Which isn't even pudding, it's cake.
Oh my God. All right, we're out.